Hello and welcome to another episode of Jedi and the Mailman, a show where two old friends aim to deliver the best Star Wars talk in the galaxy. I'm Mike the Mailman. That's Jimmy the Old God Jedi. And joining us tonight, our special guest, Tiara from Crafting on Ilum. How are you, Tara?
Hello. Yes, good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. I think, Mike, you have your Kanan shirt on.
I do.
Nice, nice. My Balin skull one is not dry, and I have to turn the dryer off, or you can hear it, or otherwise I'd have it
No.
on right now. oh, yeah. So you guys, Tiara, why don't you real quick tell everybody about yourself? Tell everybody why we're wearing your clothes and everything that you do. And that sounded weird, didn't it? Why are we wearing Tiara's clothes?
Yes, a little bit. Definitely an attention grabber right there, so
There you
thank
go.
you. Yes, I do everything pretty much. I have a shop where I do Star Wars inspired merch. Most of the designs are literally just my doodles that I do. I do cosplay. I have a large collection and I attend conventions. I've got my YouTube channel where I vlog all of that as well as the crafting process for some of my cosplays. So if you're interested in type of stuff, definitely give me a follow.
Absolutely. Don't just go do it right now. If you're not following her, follow her on
Yeah.
Instagram. Um, the latest one is that you swinging the lightsaber. Yeah,
It
where I
was.
called you the Dorkosaurus Rex.
You did. Very, very good. Very, very good pun. I love it.
So, oh my gosh. All right. Mike, how's your week? I guess it's only Tuesday. It feels like it's been a long week already, and it's only Tuesday. So how's your week? And I haven't been to work yet, so
Uh,
just
my
remember
week's
that.
been fine. I only have the one day of work in this week. We had President's Day yesterday, so I had the day off. I had to suffer in the cold today, but here I am now having a nice Star Wars chat, so the day is good.
What about you, T?
What did I do today?
Like, how was your week so far?
I mean, it was very cold. I was very cold. My gas bill is like really high because I keep our like fireplace on, but I have to like be mindful about it now because my like West Coast blood is not adapted to the type of cold I'm experiencing here in Ohio. So I was very cold.
Yeah, I'm sure. Good Lord. Yeah, I was kind of like Mike with school. We didn't have school Monday because of President's Day. Snow day today. Well, wind day today because we were supposed to get the snow apocalypse. And I woke up, I don't know, it was like 4:40. Well, actually, it was 4 because that's when I wake up for practice. And I went up and there's like no snow on the ground. I'm like, luckily, they had already called it. And then we've got tomorrow off because it's going to be even colder and possibly Thursday. But I leave for state on Thursday swimming. So I won't have any school this week. So
Wow.
just trying
It's
to stay
nice.
warm. Yeah, get the boys to practice tomorrow, hopefully, and get rolling. But yeah, I'm glad we all made it. I'm glad we're all warm. Um, we are here because Mike wanted to dive back into the sequel trilogy, right, Mike?
Yes, yes. Turns out it's been 10 years since The Force Awakens came out. 10 years in December, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so that anniversary sort of like snuck by. I don't think anybody really made a whole lot of fuss about it being
Well,
10 years since that
it'll
came
be
out.
this December when it comes out.
Oh, this December, is
Yeah,
it?
because it was
Oh, okay.
2015.
That's why nobody made a big fuss because it isn't 10 years yet. But it's close enough for me. So, yeah, like I've been, we talk Star Wars on here all the time, and sometimes we get into the conversations about the sequel trilogy, and I'm a blank because I can't remember, anything about a lot of the movies. So I figured it's a good time to dive back in, check out that trilogy, see how it fares now, see if I can refresh my memory and see if you know some of these movies sit a little better with me. And yeah, so we're just going to talk about the Force Awakens and the good one of the trilogy, the
Yeah, I
first
mean,
one.
yeah, we'll get into that as we go. I think it'll be fun because we can kind of look back and compare. But our focus will be The Force Awakens. Disney bought Lucasfilm October 30th, 2012. And I remember being like, what does that mean? And this is like a pretty long journey. I remember, I was at Penn State at the time, I think. No, I wasn't Penn State. It was somewhere else, and someone showed me a magazine that Star Wars was coming back. They were working on a script or something, and then so they bought that. They wanted to have a movie out pretty quickly. Originally, Michael Arndt, which I didn't know. I don't know if I knew this or not. Michael Arndt was the first person who wrote. He wrote Little Miss Sunshine, Toy Story 3. He was the guy who was writing it. But he does have a process, and it takes him a long time. And if we learned anything from these first 3 films, they don't have patience for
Yeah.
good story writing. Apparently, I mean, like, let someone get out their process. I guess it's not fair to say good story writing, because they did bring on Lawrence Kasdan, who is a veteran, has written
Yeah.
more Star Wars films than I think anybody else. And then, of course, we get The Force Awakens in December of 2015. That has its whole thing because it was supposed to be a May release. The door falls on Harrison's leg, and they had to push it back. But my first question to you guys, what was your reaction to this movie? Like, you go in, you watch it for the first time. It has been a really long time since Star Wars has, been on the big screen. What are we feeling? What are we thinking? This is before any of us were, content creators doing anything. Like, we all love Star Wars, obviously. But so Tiara, do you remember, like, 10 years ago, you were like 12, right? So do you remember what was your reaction? How were you feeling coming out of the theater? What was that experience like for you?
10 years ago, that was 2015. Okay. So I was a senior in high school. Thank you very much. Um, yeah, I mean, I was just excited to be able to see Star Wars again in the movie theaters because the last time that I saw Star Wars in the movie theaters was Revenge of the Sith, and it had been such a long time. So I was just excited to see that, like, with my dad and have that same experience again and like see what they had to tell, like what type of story to tell us.
Nice. Were you happy when you came out of the theater?
I thought it was fun, but it wasn't what I was expecting because I just felt like the story was just a replica of episode 4, kind of. So like as a 17-year-old, 16-year-old at that time, I was just like, oh, like this is okay. Like I just enjoyed seeing it with my dad, but the story I felt like could have been better. But now I have a different opinion now, but at that time, that's how I felt.
Alright. Very cool. Mike, what about you? Do you remember? I mean, we would have been, we're
Yes.
getting up there in age, but I mean, we were close to 40 when this came out, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I certainly remember going and seeing it. Was
don't
this
laugh,
a
Tiara. We're old. All this gray
yes?
is.
Was this was released right around Christmas, right?
Yeah, this is when
Yeah,
Star Wars became a Christmas event.
right. I think I may have seen this one on Christmas Day, uh, and I freaking loved it. Like, I just remember going and seeing it, and it was a Star Wars is back moment for me. Like to T's point, it was a just a retelling of Episode 4. I mean, it really was. It followed that same sort of script to a T, but it was different enough. New characters and still some of the old characters that for old guys like you and I mean, it just hit the right spot. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't. They weren't trying too hard to really create something new. They were just giving us what we loved, and I mean, I liked it. I loved the heck out of it. And we went after my first viewing. I went and saw it again. I made plans with my brother to go see it. We took all our whole family, our kids, and everything. And I was hopeful at that point that this would be the thing that hooked my kids on Star Wars. It turned out it didn't work out, but yeah, what do you guys do? But yeah, I mean, I saw it probably 3 times in the first week that it was out, and you know, a few viewings afterwards. But yeah, I mean, I loved it.
Yeah, similar experience. This was the movie 2015. We started this tradition with my boys' swim team that would go see a movie over Christmas break and things like that. Um, so I know most of them had like binge watch because we weren't in school. A lot of them, who I mean, and it's funny though because those guys are now my assistant coaches. Some of the fellows that I took are now assistant coaches on my staff, and and I remember them telling me they had stayed up and watched all the movies, the night before so they could be ready for it. Yeah, so that really added to my, I don't have kids. and stuff like that. But it was really kind of cool to see those boys having fun in there. I think that added to my experience, if I'm being honest. Like, it's hard not to enjoy that when you're in the theater. Like, we just went and saw Captain America: Brave New World, and that movie's fine.
Yeah.
But when I heard my boys laughing and, getting pumped up for stuff, they don't see the movies quite the way I do. As they get older, they'll become a critic or whatever. They're just in the place of enjoying it. So, but that really enhances it. I have a story about, like, kind of similar to that when we talk about The Last Jedi next week. But yeah, I loved it. I don't know if I really picked up on, like I've said before, like, if it's a good movie, if I come out and I'm happy. So I thought, yeah, this is a good movie. Like, Star Wars is back, like you said. There are so many good things that we'll talk about. There's some things I wasn't super thrilled with, but I don't know. And I try to remember, did I realize it was a retelling of the story? I mean, there's similarities. Like, there's a big giant Death Star. It's just bigger. I mean, they basically make fun of themselves in the film with that one. But I don't know if I realized that or not. Maybe I was just too, like, invested in it or something. I don't know. Like, it's been big part of my life or whatever. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I went back multiple times, being the Star Wars guy with all my friends. It was like I went and saw. I mean, I probably saw it 3 or 4 times within the 3 days, just because we go with the boys, and then I go back. And that day, I went and saw it a second time, and I think Saturday and Sunday, because they would open up on a Thursday for us. But yeah, so I enjoyed it. Rewatching, I don't rewatch it a ton, but I rewatched it Sunday, and I liked it. There are some things I'm like, the more we do this, what we're doing now, I think we get a little bit more critical sometimes, because we're invested into it. But Tiara, you said that you have a different view of it now. Can you talk about that a little bit? Like, how, like, you're really into Star Wars. You have a regular job, but then you work a second job, which is crafting on Ilum. How does that change your outlook on this movie, do you think? Like, how has it changed for you over the last 10 years?
Well, I think that we all pick the things that speak to us in Star Wars and the stuff that doesn't, just leave it as is. I think just rewatching it now, like, as I got older, I can appreciate more than being so nitpicky. Like, it's weird. It's reversed for me. I'm more open to it now, and I back then I was nitpicky, and I think it's because I had all this expectation in my head. But, like, now with all the projects that have come out, I'm more open-minded about it, and just being like, well, this is really cool. I really like Kylo Ren, and Rey's a really fun character, and I love her theme, like the music for her, things like that. It's like the fun aliens that we get to see. So, like, now I'm just like, I just like it because it's fun. But, like, back then I was like, this, I don't like this too much.
It's similar to, I don't know, at least my experience with the prequels. Like, we had the OG trilogy, and we loved the heck out of it. And then we went and saw the prequels, and it's like, I guess
Yeah.
it's Star Wars.
My brain
But
can't
then
wrap my head around that. 'Cause I grew up with
and
the
then here we
prequels, so
are.
that was my love.
Then here we are down the line, and more stuff has come out, added to the story and whatnot, and we have a more of appreciation for the prequels. So yeah, it's interesting. I love talking to people from different generations and how it all affects them. Like, just yesterday, when we did the recording for the main show, talking to Charlie, who's definitely a prequel kid, and just getting her viewpoint on different things. That, like, Jimmy and I are both like, ugh, and then she has a completely different opinion. Like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's kind of funny that I mean, most of the time it feels like content creators get grumpier as we go, right? But I think I had the same kind of journey you did, because I remember, like Mike said, I wasn't a huge prequel. I was probably a prequel hater when they first came out. I just they didn't feel like Star Wars. They didn't look like Star Wars.
Ooh.
They had characters in there that were Star Wars. There were things I liked, but I was probably angry about it. But then, last year we go and we see it in the theater, Phantom Menace in the theater, and I come out and I'm almost in tears. Like, what's my problem? Like, this is great. This is Star Wars, big screen. So, but yeah. So, I think the same thing too is, like you said, and I don't know, like you can choose your path in what we do, or you can either hate everything and try to sell that, or you can find the things that you love, focus
Mhm.
on that, and maybe wish things were a little bit different. But you said that it didn't meet your expectations. Like, what were you thinking? Because we'll talk a little bit about what we think that they maybe got right, what they got wrong. But do you remember, like, as a 17-year-old Star Wars fan, what you thought the movie was going to be?
Well, like, I saw the trailers and I just thought that the original trilogy characters would have a little bit more focus in the sequels. Um, and if not, like just thinking about the trailers as well, like there was two options. It was either have them be a really big part of the sequel or have this like a completely new story. And I don't think that I have any like specifics. I just was expecting something different than what we've been given. Like still feel like Star Wars, but just a different story.
Okay. Mike, anything, like, did you have any expectations going into it?
No, not really. I mean, honestly, I think I would have wanted a different story as well. Like it was rehashing, like we said, of old Star Wars, and it would have been nice to have a new story. Have it going in another direction, and yeah, but it's still. I mean, to me, it was just the right combination at the right time. Having like I said, I didn't mind having a rehashing of the old because I like the old, and they did a really nice job, and the cinematography was a lot better, and it was yeah. I mean, I could have taken it either way, but what we got was I certainly enjoyed.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I don't think I had any expectations going into it. This is, I mean, really before like the internet is what it is now. I mean, so there wasn't like the way Disney does things now. You get a because we're just talking about when's Andor season 2 trailer going to come out, right? We
Yeah.
someone got one, and what I think it's like 4 days is 2 months out. So everyone's like expecting it to be soon and all this stuff, and we didn't know that stuff yet. You know what I mean? We
Yeah.
weren't sitting there like chomping at the bit, like when's this coming out? Why hasn't there been a teaser? Where's the movie trailer? Where's the movie poster? And all these different things. So I don't think I had any expectations really going into it. Now I think that changed as the movies went along for me. But yeah, I don't know if I had any expectations. But yeah, so let's go ahead and like kind of dive into this. And I think this is one of the reasons I really wanted you to come on, because Mike and I are both dudes. So getting now, I think they're strong. I mean, Princess Leia is like the ultimate strong female character. I mean, the guys come in, they're idiots. They bungle the escape, and then she single-handedly takes it over without blinking an eye and handles everything. But this is the first kind of like, our hero is Rey. I kind of want to talk about the characters and things like that, what you guys loved, what you didn't love. And I think we should start with Rey, obviously, because she is, the main character in this. And Tiara, did you have any connection? Or, I mean, we know Charlie's obsessed slightly because she looks like her when she gets her hair all up and stuff like that too. But, did it have any effect on you as a Star Wars fan? Like seeing like it changed to being from like Luke and Han and then Leia, and now it's Rey and Finn and Poe.
I mean, I don't want to be like, no, it didn't. Like, it just was just like, okay, like, this is the story. I wasn't like super impacted by it, but as the story went along, something that I can appreciate is the theme of like chosen family. And I know I know we're only like talking about the first one, but like her spacing on the word, just like her motive to like find her identity, that kind of spoke to me, like that theme throughout. But like her being the lead role, I didn't that time I wasn't like, whoa, this is like so different and so cool, because I've always seen Leia as like one of the main characters too. So like it wasn't anything new for me in Star Wars, and Padme is a really powerful female lead character. So like seeing another female lead character in Star Wars wasn't like, oh wow, this is so like different. And like it was just kind of not expected, but just normal.
Good. I'm glad that. Yeah, I I will say that Rey has grown on me, and that's why
Mhm.
I'm excited for new Rey stuff. Like I take Rey and I think about Ahsoka and how like the first time I met Ahsoka in the Clone Wars movie, I'm like, what the hell is this? You know. And now I have her tattooed on me, and all that kind of stuff. And I feel like we need more time with Rey, but I do feel like she's gotten better as we've gone along. I mean, you look at Daisy Ridley now, and then you sit there and like watching The Force Awakens, she looks like a baby. I mean, she looks like a little, you know what I mean? Like she's just so young. Imagine that being your first, your first big movie is Star Wars. Like that's got to be insane. But Mike, how
Yeah.
do you feel about Rey? We're big tough men from the 70s and 80s.
I thought she was great, and it never dawns on me that, I mean, okay, cool, we're getting a female or it's a male, or like, I don't know. I just don't think that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, no, I
it
get
doesn't
it.
matter who the lead is. And I think she was great. And to your point, like, that's the one thing that struck me is seeing all these people in this, how young they look. You know what I mean? Like, it was only 10 years ago, but man, they all look like babies.
Yeah,
But I, to me, she did a really, really good job um, acting, new and fresh. And I don't know. I thought she acted it really well. Um, it, to your point, I'm looking forward to the new stuff because, man, how many different movies has she been in since Star Wars now? And she just has that, just playing a variety of different roles, just having more life experience and whatnot. It's going to be really interesting to see where she takes the character, going forward. But yeah, I mean, I think she's a great lead character.
yeah. I like this. Tales from the Force said yes because this is back when we were talking about the generations,
Mhm.
but because they're each different generation, you have to keep younger generations into it, or it will die. I agree 100%.
Mhm.
That's why I think Skeleton Crew is such a
Yeah.
jumping. Like if I had kids, you know, I'd be like, let's watch Skeleton Crew, and I do have friends with kids and they're like, oh yeah, Skeleton Crew is a great way in. And we got
Mhm.
Tahu here, opening midnight showing in Sydney. We were heavily pregnant. I prayed we wouldn't have to leave halfway through the movie. That's a good
That's
story.
awfully memorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I think that's a funny thing too, is like, I don't think I ever thought about like, I think about it now because it's out there and it's polarizing topic, strong female
Mhm.
characters and stuff like that. But I don't care who's leading the movie as long as they're good at it.
Mhm.
And I love Kira, I love Jin, I love them all so far. But let's we can kind of talk about like uh her supporting cast, which obviously it grows, but Pin, I just combined them. I just gave them their name. They're Pin. Finn and Poe. How are we feeling about them? Watching I mean, I would literally just got done watching the behind the scenes stuff, just kind of like freshen up and stuff like that. And they're talking about Oscar Isaac's Poe Dameron being the Han Solo of this film. I can honestly say I never got that. Like, I don't even put them in the same category. Like, there's Han Solo way up here, and then there's Poe way down. Like, I feel like they wasted. I don't think it's Oscar Isaac's fault. I think they wasted a really, really, really talented actor. You sit there and you see him in like Moon Knight, where he's playing multiple characters and things like that, or in Dune. I think this guy has amazing acting, but I felt like all he did was scream in these movies and deliver his lines with a lot of enthusiasm. But and Finn, I think they kind of wasted too. I think he's a good actor. I think that they wasted the potential there. Um, so, but I mean, I don't blame those two. I'm not going to sit there and
Mhm.
be mad at them. I think they were not given the script in the journey. So I don't know. How do you guys feel about those two characters?
I mean,
Mike, you
just
go.
looking good. Okay. Just looking at this movie, I'm not going to bring anything in from the other movies. I'm just focused on this. I think they were great introductions to those two characters. Um, to your point, it would have been nice if they had a little bit more, but there were so many characters to get into this. You know what I mean? We had to continue the story with Han and Chewie and Leia and everybody. You had to meld the old generation in with the new generation. So everybody had to split screen time. So there wasn't as much time to focus on the newer characters, which was fine. But I think the time that they got was great. There is some really fun scenes with those guys, like just the escaping Kylo's ship, in the TIE fighter and stuff. That was a good little romp there. And uh, when Poe comes back, and they meet again on the planet, I don't know. I think I enjoyed both those characters. They were a lot of fun, and you know, in this movie, I think they did well.
Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed Finn. Like now when I watch it, I love watching Rey and Finn interact together, like on the Millennium Falcon. I think it's just a fun bit, and I
Yeah.
think their characters bring a lot of that in the first movie, and even throughout. Like I think it's Rise of Skywalker when they fall through like the sand pit. Poe and Finn are kind of like bantering. It's like one of my favorite parts in the movie. So
Yeah. No, yeah, I don't know. Like they just I don't know. For
Jimmy
me,
doesn't like comedy.
yeah, I hate that. No, I do love the stuff in the Millennium Falcon though. I love that. That was pretty fun. Like and BB-8 too. I almost had, had to include
Hmm.
BB-8 in that because he
Mhm.
was
Yeah,
part of that comic relief, even more so
yeah.
than probably R2 was. Of
I,
course,
I love BB-8's thumbs up.
yes, it's one of
But
my favorite. Yeah, pretty
uh,
clever. But yeah, like the technology too is crazy to think about. Again, just having watched behind the scenes, they got people running around in green suits doing that,
mhm.
and then I have a BB-8 that's more advanced than what they had for the first movie. Rolling around down like
Yeah.
except I can't do it because my dogs will go nuts when they ate BB-8. But let's move on to Kylo Ren and General Hux, and kind of talk about them a little bit. How do we, you know, for me personally, I felt like there was so much potential. And then again, we're just trying to talk about the Force Awakens. I thought Hux was
Mhm.
going to be a really bad dude. Like
Yeah.
he gives that speech, and supposedly he only took one shot. Like he did that in
Really.
one take, and
Wow.
I was like, holy crap! Like how do you say acquiesce without screwing it up at least 3 times? Um, you know, and so, but that scene was really powerful. I like the dynamic between the bickering between Kylo and Hux. I like how they're both vying for power. They're both nipping at Snoke's heels for attention. I liked how they were portrayed in this first movie. Now that will change later, but in this movie, I thought I thought they had a lot of potential to be bad guys, and of course, then I guess we throw Snoke in there too. Um, he was terrifying looking. I'm like, this is cool. How big is
Yeah.
this guy really? Like, obviously it was a hologram the first time we see him and stuff like that. But how do we think about the baddies? And you can throw Phasma in there too if you want. I think she was underused as well. She's cool. Christy, was it Gwendolyn Christie? Awesome, awesome actor. Great in Game of Thrones. I think again underused, but you get too many characters in a movie. I get it. You
Yeah.
can only do so much. But how did you guys feel about all the baddies, the new baddies for the movie?
Go ahead,
Well,
Tiara.
I love Kylo Ren. Like I loved seeing the introduction to his character and like the very first scene, like basically the opening scene. I definitely think it was wasted potential for a storyline for him, but they released some comics recently for Kylo Ren, so that's helpful. But I loved Kylo Ren's character for sure.
Good. I remember my dad saying he was too whiny. My dad's like, he's too whiny. That was my dad's take on Kylo Ren. I didn't. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I mean, like yes, to
Uh,
an extent, but that's his
That's
role. Like he's a dark
yeah.
side user. Like they're moody. Just let them be moody.
No kidding. He's got a lightsaber. He can do whatever the hell he wants.
yeah.
So,
I
what about?
think
Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
I think Kylo is a creepy little weirdo, which
Whoa,
kind
shots
of
fired.
played well for this movie. Like you said, the the like you said, jockeying for position between him and Hux, like that would not have worked if Kylo was more powerful, more sure of himself, you know. But being that he was kind of a creepy little weirdo, doesn't have it all together yet. That worked. That dynamic worked. And Hux, I didn't know that he did that in one take.
That's
And that
supposedly
Yeah,
is
I
what
didn't
I've
know
heard.
that.
Pretty
'cause
crazy.
that leads you to
Yeah.
believe like that guy has some dictator in him, man. To be able to pull that off. But yeah, he was, I mean, he for that role, that actor for that role, the way he played it, spot on. I mean, he's also a creepy weirdo with, but yeah, I mean, I think it was well done. I think Phasma, I think they having them find her to like take down the shield and stuff like that kind of killed her character. Like she should not have been the one. Like you should have just had the few scenes that she was in and let her character build from there. But because I think it took a lot away from her character, like her power, her abilities, and whatnot, to be the one that got humiliated into, we caught you,
Yeah,
now you got to take down the shield. But
that's
yes,
a good
the
point.
design, like her design and whatnot, and her ability, like she's a cool character, but I think they kind of humiliated her and wasted her with, that scene.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I haven't read the book yet. It's on my to-do list, but apparently the Phasma book, is really, really good. I don't know if you guys read that. I haven't
No.
yet. It's on my to-do list, but Tales of the Force is all Skywalker men are like that. That's true. That is true. And that's also where we struggled, Mike and I, as guys our age, we struggled with Anakin's behavior. That's one of the big things we talked about in this episode. Our main show that came out today was, and Charlie kind of flipped the switch on us. Like she really did. Like she
Yeah.
just, I mean, I'm like, oh,
It makes a
okay.
lot of sense.
Yeah. So, what she kind of told us. And so, and then we got Emo Prince here. And of course, Tiara is loving Adam Driver. So,
Okay, it's just like a side note. He was in this rom-com with Daniel Radcliffe, and I forget what it's called, but in high school, I like downloaded it onto my laptop because I love to watch it. And I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where he's like, I just had the spicy business and I am about to eat nachos, and he like screams. And so I saw him in that, and then going in to see him in Force Awakens, I was like, oh my God. As a teenager, of course.
well, I tell you, it's a funny story though. I had a Star Wars club called the Scruffy Looking Nerf Herders in my high school that I teach in, and we've been trying to bring it back. It's just we're super busy. But
Mhm.
my club was a very eclectic group of people because you had your typical what you would think of Star Wars fans, right? You
Mhm.
had these nerdy boys who probably didn't talk to a lot of people, and I had to teach them how to like get along with each other because they all had their opinions and they were fighting with each other constantly about which movies were good and which were bad. I'm like, so half my club on Wednesdays was me teaching them to like, hey, people are allowed to like things and not like things, but we got to talk about it. But the other half of my club was most of the cheerleading squad at my high school. And that's actually how it got started. Was a couple of the girls I had in class were obsessed with Adam Driver. And so they loved Star Wars because of him. And I was like, whatever. So then I had the cheerleaders and I had all these nerdy kids. And I'm like, boys, the opportunity, it's just always like, talk to the girls,
Sit
man.
them
They can,
down and
I
talk
was
to
like,
them.
listen, you got to talk to the girls. And so, but yeah, I get it. The Adam Driver effect on the ladies.
Mhm.
I mean, the force is strong with him. So, but let's talk about our legacy characters, and this is where things go a little south for me, I guess. And again, overall, I love Force Awakens. I think it was a great reintroduction to Star Wars. And Commander Taylor's on Instagram. She said, "Creepy little weirdo." Just mimicking Mike, but how do we feel? I mean, we get mostly, this is Han Solo's movie, right? I mean, they had to pay him a boatload of money to come back, and he did. And we got a little bit of Leia, and we get about, I don't know, was it maybe 30 seconds of Luke Skywalker?
Yeah.
How do we feel about how they treated the legacy characters in this movie? And I know it'll be a little bit hard not to go outside of this movie, but just I remember my dad being pretty upset, and this is a guy who, got me hooked on Star Wars, and he was like, what the hell? Like, they didn't do anything. I'm like, well, they are like in their 70s, but just like you, Dad. So, how much are you going to go around saving the world? But what do you guys think about that? I have some strong feelings, so I'll go last. But what do you guys think? TR, you can go. legacy characters, because like you said, you're a prequel girl, right? I mean, you appreciate the original trilogy, but you're a
Mhm.
prequel kid. So how did you feel about Luke, Leia, and Han, and how they were used, not used?
I mean, I was just disappointed by like their role in the galaxy. I mean, not necessarily so much Leia because she has been in it for so long, but like I just would have liked a little bit more context or backstory. Like Han just like going out and like not coming back and doing random stuff like smuggling again. Like it just didn't make any sense to me considering where we left off with them. And like at that time, I hadn't read any of the novels or anything or legends or whatever. But like at that age, I was just like, well, we left off and they were like fighting for the galaxy and he's just off smuggling. Like that just I don't compute. Like it doesn't make any sense to me. And then just seeing like 30 seconds of Luke and knowing that he just left everyone, like that's not the Luke Skywalker that I came to know and love in the original trilogy. And I know people have opinions about that, but that was just, it was a little disappointing for me, like growing up with this stuff, not reading any novels or anything and seeing them have like little of their character left from when we last saw them.
Yeah.
So,
Michael, about you?
Yeah, I would say like the Leia part was pretty good. Like, that would it's just where she would be, I would think, as a general in command, and you didn't need to see we got enough of her, I think. You still see that she's large and in charge. Uh the Han Solo and Chewie, I mean, I love them coming back. And for me, I mean, I could certainly see Han going off after what happened with their kid, not being able to be with his wife anymore and just needing to go away. I can buy into that. I can see that. And the scenes that we got with them, I mean, it brought you right back to to the original trilogy. Some of the fun things, and uh, just getting the Millennium Falcon working again, and just the little scenes on board the Falcon and whatnot. And I don't know, it's just so good to see Harrison Ford back on screen. He could keep doing it till he's 90. I don't care.
He's almost
He's
there.
great.
he wants to retire. He's like, I'd
But
like to stop working.
yeah, but you're 100% right with the Luke. With I that I can't buy into, like how he would. I mean, I get it. He lost a very important pupil or whatever, couldn't live with what he did, and to go off. But it just doesn't seem like Luke. Like he wouldn't. To me, wouldn't. That's not his character. That's not what he would do. I don't know. I Yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys too. I think that obviously Han got a lot more play, and then of course Chewie. I know that Peter Mayhew did a little bit of the acting. That's kind of when Jonas started stepping in as well, just with some of it. But yeah, I feel like they missed the mark a little bit with, if they knew how the movie was going to end. You know what I mean? Like I buy that sacrifice. I buy, I mean, he gets to go out the way he wanted to, supposedly, and return the Jedi and everything like that. And I also understand, like, we're trying to set up a new generation, but I thought it would have been more fun for the three of them to be together with the three of our new heroes, and they can all have their moments where they're connecting with the person that they're most similar to. And
Yeah.
and it would be a cool dynamic, because I mean, you have Oscar, you would have Poe and Solo maybe, and then but you'd have Ray and Luke, and then you could have Finn, and Leia could be like, this is what your job is going to be, holding these two together, because they're going to be all over the map. And I just feel like I'm 100% fine with our new heroes. I think that's what you had to have, because our actors they're getting older and they're getting up there in age and stuff like that. But I feel like they could have done so much more with the six of them together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we needed like the last Jurassic World, where we had every single actor who had ever been in a Jurassic World movie in it together, and there's like 47 of them trying to hide behind a car. But I do think that they missed the mark a little bit. I think in my notes I had, was it too rushed? Because sitting there, They buy it in 2012. They want a movie out by 2015. They fired the guy, or they moved on from the guy that was writing the script because it was taking too long. We know there wasn't a plan really. So like, your point too, Tiara, is like, is that what JJ had in mind? Like for Luke, like all he did was put him on this planet and said, all right, it's yours, Ryan. Like make something up. Why, does JJ put him there because he's hiding from like an evil that's coming? Or, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like I don't know. I'm pretty frustrated with that. But let's talk about positive stuff. Let's talk about some of our favorite scenes. Like, do you have a moment? It doesn't even have to be, it could be like, for me, like the TIE fighters coming down with the sun behind them, like how beautiful that shot is. And then a few minutes later, we get the X-Wings flying across the water. Like they can just do things now that they couldn't do in the original movies. But, it could be stuff like that. It could be an actual scene like you talked about on the Falcon. Like, do you guys have favorite scenes from this movie? Like, what do you got? Like, what puts the biggest smile on your face?
I'd say one that really comes to mind right off the bat is they're trying to, they just get caught after they're Maz's castle, right? The stormtroopers have Han and Chewie and Finn, and then in come the X-Wings, and everything just goes bananas from there. Like, just when those X-Wings come screaming in to save the day, that's just like, woo! Really gets a smile on your face. It gets you going.
Yeah, I did love that scene too.
Oh yeah, the red arms. Yeah, that's very good.
Sahu. It's already Wednesday for him. What about you, T? What's like your favorite? Like, do you have a great like moment that just like when you think of The Force Awakens, it pops into your head?
I really like Maz's character. So I really like the basic cantina scene that we get in most of the movies. I look forward to those because I like to see all the different aliens and stuff in the cantina. There's some couple of them like that are really cool. There's like red helmeted guy
Yeah,
that looks really, really cool. Yeah, so I love that. I love the Millennium Falcon scene, and I love Star Wars banter. It's one of my favorite parts of Star Wars, so just the banter throughout. And then I really enjoy the fight scene with Rey, Finn, and Kylo in the snow. I think it looks great. So,
Yeah.
though I have opinions about the choreography throughout these three, yes, but it's very like visually pleasing for me.
Yeah. No, yeah, I do love it. I love the fact that way that they can use the new lightsabers. I have issues with how they look sometimes, but I
Mhm.
do love the fact that the light comes off of them and it makes
Mhm.
them seem more realistic.
Yeah.
Man, I just had my scene and it totally escaped. Crap, man. I'm just totally blanking on my favorite part of the dang movie.
That
So
happens when
I'm
we get
old.
this age.
Yeah, my goodness. What does Brandon say? Brandon says, I would love to see Tales of the, and we get some Maz Kanata, maybe see her obtain
Be
the.
so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, yeah, and that's something I don't want to talk too much about. I mean, maybe when we're done with all three movies, Mike and I, and we can kind of talk about what we think would fix stuff or whatever, or any issues we have. But, yeah, ah, I would love that. I think that for me, I just popped back in my head. I knew it would come if I stalled long enough. So it's
Spit
the
it out before it goes
opening
away.
Millennium Falcon stuff when they're
Yeah.
flying on Jakku.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember that's the first thing that they released. It was like the
Yeah.
first like
Mhm.
teaser for it, and I probably watched the Millennium Falcon fly through the TIE fighter. Or what, I can't remember exactly what it was, like a 15-second clip. I kid you not, I probably watched that a million, like just over and over, just seeing
Oh.
the Millennium Falcon. I mean, as a kid, I always was like, I want a Millennium Falcon. Like if I could have
Yeah.
if I could have something, that's what I'd want. But flying through the graveyard of Imperial Star Destroyers and AT-ATs and X-Wings and stuff. And I also think like JJ was really smart. And I don't know, I've never seen anything or read anything about it. Of course, we get the books, the Aftermath series, and explains all this. And then, of course, we just got the Insurgency, the Last Stand stuff, the Battle for Jakku
Battle for
comic
Jakku.
series as well. But before we know any of that stuff, like there's like what happened on this planet,
Yeah.
right? Like what what in the world? Like why are all these starships down here? And I just love the Falcon flying through that and just seeing it moving. Just I think I knew right then this was going to be a fun movie when that was like the opening, flight of the Falcon again, that hunk of junk or whatever. I love that. That hunk of junk will do, and they turn and run onto that. But I don't know. I love that part.
Yeah.
Um,
There's some great comedy right along with the tents flying and stuff like that. Just BB-8 flying around in the in
oh
the
yeah,
back there, and then he
yeah, I
sticks to
love
the. But
that.
yeah, that is a great scene.
Han Solo at his finest, talking to Conja Club and the Guavian Death Gang.
Mm.
I think that was pretty good stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I just overall, like, I feel like it's grown on me more and more the more I watch it. And I honestly, I cannot remember the last time I watched that movie. When I turned it on Disney Plus, it was like halfway through, so I had at one point started watching it and maybe fell asleep, or I always put Star Wars on in the background when I'm doing work and things like that, which is probably why I don't ever get anything done. But um, so
Yeah, another great scene too. It just popped into my head when Finn and Han are going to save Ray, and they realize like Han's looking there. She points her out. She's already saved herself. Like the boys weren't necessary. Just like the rescue scene when they rescued Princess Leia. They weren't really needed. She had it under control.
yeah, I thought they. I don't know about you guys. I thought there's some good callbacks. Like, is there a trash chute on this thing? And he's like, yeah, and then that's not how the Force. I don't know. There's a lot of good stuff in this. I know,
That's not how
like
the
you guys
Force
said, it's
works.
kind of kind of a retelling, but I mean, I thought it was kind of important. It was a good way to start it. Could they have done some
Yes.
things differently? Yeah, I think so.
Mhm.
But I don't know. Let's any final thoughts? How we feeling? I mean, Mike and I both rewatched it. Taylor, sorry, Tiara. When the last time you watched it, like just any like final thoughts or feelings or anything like that that may have changed over the years?
Yeah, like I said earlier in the beginning, it's a lot more fun for me to watch. And then especially with Galaxy's Edge. So I've been to both parks on West and East Coast, and every time like that I've gone, most recently at Disney World, I just have more of an appreciation because it's just really fun to be immersed in like the theme is more of the sequels, like the Resistance,
Mhm.
X-Wing type stuff. So it's just fun to rewatch and then go to the parks and experience that, especially the Resistance ride. That's super fun. And I actually this past Christmas I put on Force Awakens as like a Christmas movie to watch. So it's just kind of like that small tradition that I've got, whether if I watch it with by myself or with my family.
Very cool. How about you, Mike? Are you
Uh,
happy we're doing this, Mike? Are you happy we're going back
yeah,
through?
yeah. So far this week, we'll see what happens next week. But no, last week. It was last Wednesday. I sat down to watch it, and uh, it was just the perfect movie for the state that I was in. And like, I don't know, man. Like, it's just so much fun. Like, I'm sure you could sit and look at it with a critical eye and probably nitpick, and there's things we could have done better, things that. But all in all, like you said, how do you feel when you walk out? Do you have a smile on your face? Are you happy? And this movie definitely makes you happy. Like, yeah, maybe it could have been a little bit better, but it hit the right notes for me, and I super enjoyed it. I mean, it's definitely one you can go back and watch again and just have a good time. It easily just put it on in the background. You don't have to get super invested in it. There's plenty of things that just jump out and they're, oh, it's so great. But yeah, I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah, I even rewatching it just the other day, I just thought, man, like what there's so much potential for Star Wars,
Yeah.
and everyone has their feelings about what comes after this. For me, it's a bit of a roller coaster as well. But some people out there, those are their favorite movies too, and I want to show them respect. But I really, even like I said, even just rewatching, I'm like, man, like I wish they would have done this. But man, there's such a Star Wars in such a great place coming out of that film,
Mhm.
and I just feel
Yeah.
like obviously it's well documented, and anyone who's listening to us talk or in our chat, you guys know, there wasn't a plan, and it becomes pretty obviously pretty quickly as the second movie comes. But I really, it is funny because I mean, now I know what comes. I know how it ends, and I'm still looking forward to the Rey stuff. But I just like, man, there's so much potential here. What a fun movie! This is a Star Wars film, and like you said, it does put a smile on my face. I found myself smiling a lot. Had been a while since I rewatched it. I think. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think this is one that it's right up there with, if ranking them, it'd be way up there in the top with, definitely in the top half of my favorite movies in the Star Wars franchise. But Tiara, why don't you take a minute and tell everybody real quick again, where they can find you, what you got, if you got anything coming up, anything like that, let them know before we sign off.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and YouTube under Crafton on Ilum. And for my shop, I'm working on a K2SO design. It's not
Nice.
necessarily like Andor or Rogue One theme. It's just a fun design that I'm working on. And then I've got another X-Wing based design that I'll be releasing soon. And then I have my Skeleton Crew design that I released that will be taken off the shop on the 21st. So if you want to see those designs and want to snag one, definitely do that before the 21st because they'll not be available anymore after that.
Nice. Yeah, I would definitely, if you haven't gone on our shop before, go on there, check it out. Got fun stickers on there as well. Some Loth cats and Loth wolves, I think. I got a couple of those on my last orders. So, and I've got Jack's order sitting ready to pack up and take to Japan with me. So, I mean, I know he's excited to see that. But thank you so much for coming on the show. It's great to talk to you again. I know you and I chat off and on. We won't hold the fact that you moved to Ohio against you. As Pennsylvanians, we don't necessarily love Ohio, but it's good to see you. It's good to talk to you. Keep up the great work. I love everything you're doing. Just awesome. Super happy with all your success and things like that too. And hopefully, I can't wait to see you at Rebel ScumCon in August. That's going to be pretty exciting.
I may or may not be hosting a panel, so
I will be at that panel.
Just a little, a little spoiler. It may or may not.
Very cool. Well, I hope you do it. You should. What's Tahu say before we go here? Did anyone else get the DVD on day of release? Yes, Tahu. Absolutely. So he's gonna go watch it right now, I bet, because his day's just so. But awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. Thanks everybody in the chat and over on Instagram and chatting with us tonight. We really appreciate you guys' support. I've got to do this real quick. Make sure I get the right one. And we will see you guys next week when we're going to talk about The Last Jedi.
Yeah. Hopefully it'll be as fun and upbeat.
We'll try our best. Hopefully.
We'll try our best.